Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so good to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, April 21st, and I am so pumped. You see the headline of today's show. The amazing Marjorie Taylor Greene will be joining us in the Joy Virtual Studio in just about 5 minutes. I have had the pleasure of chatting with Marjorie in the virtual green room over the past couple minutes. She was a little bit early, and I am so thrilled to be able to interview this very courageous woman who has done some very courageous things in her own home state of Georgia and in Washington, D.C. So we're going to get to Marjorie in just a moment, but I want to say hello to all of you today. Of course, we are broadcasting live on Rumble. We're live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV. We are live on Substack, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. You can get the SJ Show at your leisure on every podcast platform. And if you're watching on any of our platforms, please remember to give the show 5-star ratings, a thumbs up, a comment, join the live chats, because these are all things that you can do to help grow the Shannon Joy Show organically and naturally. As you all know, we're independent here, not left, not right, just the truth, straight up, no chaser. And we've been that way for 12 years, firmly independent, and we want to keep it that way. We can only grow with the help from all of you. So that is one of the best things that you guys can do. Make sure if you have questions or comments, pop them up in the live chat. Annie Cyrus is producing the Shannon Joy Show today. She's keeping an eye on the Facebook chat, the Substack chat, and the Twitter chat, and also YouTube. So if you have something to say or a question, we want to hear from you. We're going to have Marjorie Taylor Greene in for about an hour, and we're going to go through a lot of questions. I would love to try to do a bit of Q&A at the end if she has time to do it. But I want to hear from all of you, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say. I want to say hello to everyone in the live chat. CJP Rumble is with us on the Rumble live chat. CM1968, great to see you. Be My Valentine. Good morning, my friend. Ralph the Flying Dutchman is on the live chat as well. Great to see you, Ralph. Futurez, Ollie Robin, you guys look great. And yes, of course, if you are watching on any of those other platforms, Annie is going to grab your chats. From YouTube, we have Sharon. Good afternoon to you all. Looking forward to today's guest. Now we will find some real news and truth about what's really going on. And I have been thinking about that a lot in terms of Marjorie Taylor Greene's experience in Washington, D.C. I see her as a true whistleblower, someone who went in, who observed, she experienced the corruption of Washington, D.C., and then did what any normal human being would do in the face of that, pull herself out, right? And for all the right reasons. People have a lot to say about MTG, and we're going to hear from her in her own words about her own story today on the Shannon Joy Show. And I think that's going to be really, really interesting. Hey, Kelly McCarty, great to see you on the live chat on Rumble. Larry from New Hampshire, great to see you. Seaway 7, aloha, SJ. Ooh, from Hawaii, I love that. Ideologies are the ruling ideas of a particular society at a particular time. They are ideas that express the naturalness of any existing social, political, or economical order and maintain it. All right. Very philosophical, Seaway 7. Really appreciate you and your comment. Please keep them coming today on the SJ Show. If you're watching on Twitter, want to hear from you, want to hear your comments, so make sure you post them up. Before we get started, just a minute or two before I bring Marjorie Taylor Greene in, I do want to thank our sponsors. The Shannon Joy Show is sponsored by Peter Schiff over at Schiff Gold, one of our amazing sponsors that I've been working with for almost 3 years. He's been a regular feature and a contributor on the SJ show. Now he's a sponsor and he is the go-to guy. Any type of gold or silver, IRA, you name it, Shift Gold is an amazing partner of the Shannon Joy Show. Of course, PCM and Associates, Dom Polano, my financial advisor, and the satellite phone store. Everything that you need to prep at sat123.com/joy, sat123.com/joy. I do want to give a special shout out to the Wellness Company. We have been working with Dr. Drew Pinsky, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Kelly Victory for so many years. They were warriors in 2020 and beyond as we were wrestling out of the lockdowns of 2020 and facing down coerced injection. And they've been friends of the Shannon Joy Show for quite some time. They are all working with the Wellness Company, another sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show. And I love this company. Everything from a second opinion to a first aid kit, an emergency kit, ivermectin, parasite cleanse, you name it, they have it. And they always have really great deals for the SJ audience. So I want to tell you today about ivermectin tablets. What if the censored medicine that saved millions? Remember ivermectin during the dark days of 2020? It was censored, it was suppressed. What would you think if it was being made mostly in China today? Well, that's actually true. About 80% of the world's ivermectin supply, most people don't know this, comes from Asia, but not at the Wellness Company. They are introducing to all of you American-made ivermectin. It's safe, trusted, tested, and produced locally in the great state of Florida. Ivermectin has been prescribed globally for more than 30 years and has even earned a Nobel Prize in medicine for its proven ability to eliminate parasites. But after the success of treating COVID, emerging research is now showing that it's a wonder drug and it can help with everything from rosacea to arthritis and for rosacea. I have my college age son using it now because it works so well. And everyone should have ivermectin on hand in the tablet form. So most pharmacies are going to charge about $5 per tablet for a 12 milligram or less. But at the Wellness Company, they are offering a higher milligram, 18 milligram dose for only $3.50 per tablet, which is really great. You can get a 6-month supply of 84 tablets, all at an absolutely unbeatable price. So you can support American-made medicine and patriot doctors like Dr. Peter McCullough and Kelly Victory and Dr. Drew Pinsky, not China's supply chain. So please go to twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy and use that promo code JOI to save $30 off. Plus, of course, free shipping all the time. So make sure you also use the Joy promo code JOY every time you shop there because it lets them know that we're sending you guys there and it helps to support their advertising. All right. So thank you to TWC and Shift Gold and all of the sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. Couldn't do it without them. It's how we keep the lights on here at the SJ Show. So without further ado, you guys see the headline of today's show, Live with Marjorie Taylor Greene, the DC whistleblower standing up for the little guy and exposing uniparty corruption. She's been called Notorious MTG, the political bad girl of Washington, DC, and most recently, Marjorie Traitor Greene by President Donald Trump, as she has become his prime target for the crime of critiquing his policies on debt, war, corruption, and most importantly, the suppression of the Epstein files. Trump's highly personal, relentless, and frankly, vicious attacks have shocked even her detractors, and her abrupt departure from Congress has propelled her into the spotlight as one of the most interesting and compelling political advocates in America. And I don't think she's done. I think she has more to do and more to say. Now, some will say she's courageous, others a betrayer, and others question her intentions, saying she's just another political actor with a hidden agenda and a role to play. Well, today we're going to talk to MTG about her origin story, her conversion story, leaving Team Trump, the corruption that she's witnessed in Washington, D.C., and why she's finally cut ties with the Trump administration, Donald Trump, and MAGA. also what she plans to do in the second chapter of her political life. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome, I hope, a new friend of the Shannon Joy Show, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I am absolutely thrilled to be here. Look forward to it.
Well, let's have a great talk because what you have experienced over the past 6 years since your entrance into Congress in 2021 and your observation of the depravity and the corruption within Washington, D.C., your abrupt departure from D.C., after you had the courage to critique Donald Trump, has really propelled you, as I mentioned, into this platform as a very, very compelling and interesting political character. And so I want to just start with your decision to cut ties and the evolution of that decision. If you want to go back to even before you ran for office and kind of tell that story, I want to give you the opportunity, because anytime there is an abrupt conversion, right, it's very important, I think, to understand and give a person the opportunity to explain, why you made that decision and what were the leading factors leading up to that decision, so that people can understand it. And so I want to start there, in your own words, you telling your own story, and then we'll go into other areas in terms of politics and where you plan to go. But I'd love to start there with you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the interest and the question. For many people that don't know my story, one of the most important things to know is I had never been elected to political office before I ran for Congress, not on the state level, city, county, anything. As a matter of fact, I had never even attended a GOP meeting, not a county meeting, not a Republican meeting. Literally, if you look up the definition of political outsider, you would have saw my face right there.
Right. Yeah.
But that also made me extremely naive to how the whole system works. I didn't know a single person. I couldn't pick up the phone and go, hey, I need to hire an entire campaign consulting team, fundraising. I didn't have people to call. Like, that's how far on the outside I was, but that's also how naive I was. However, I was truly convicted of the problems plaguing America, how horrifically our own federal government and the people we elect have failed us and fail us continuously. And I very much was a believer, still am a believer in Trump's message, the message that he was giving to Americans. He was standing up to the system. For example, no more foreign wars, how he was calling out what we shouldn't have done in Iraq. And so I ran for Congress in 2020 as simply, I can say this, like, I can't push it across enough, a true believer in MAGA's message and mission, and also extremely naive on how Washington really worked.
Right.
So fast forward, I had 4 years in Congress under Joe Biden being president. The first 2 years I spent under Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. I campaigned all over the country, raised money for the Republican Party. I became one of the people on the front lines, donated millions of dollars to the NRCC. That was me paying my dues in Congress.
Wow.
I became a huge team player. And for people watching, most Republican members of Congress don't pay their dues in full. I would write a check for mine in the beginning of every Congress and hand it in.
Wow.
I was committed to, we are going to defeat the Democrats. We are going to win. We are America first. I'll hold the Republican Party accountable. I'm going to fight the Democrats and hold them accountable. That was me in Congress. Then we won in 2024 after I campaigned all over the country for President Trump. I spoke at more rallies probably than any elected Republican. Spent millions of my own dollars to do so. He didn't pay my way. That was all against the rules.
Yeah.
And we took control. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene stayed committed to the campaign promises we made in 2024. I was so excited, and I thought, finally, we're going to deliver. We are going to secure our border. We're going to deport illegal aliens. We're going to end the foreign wars. We're going to, lower inflation, lower gas prices, put American companies first. I mean, we are literally going to take down the Board of Education. We are
Yep.
going to put Anthony Fauci in jail. We are
Right.
going to hold all the deep state. I thought this is what we're doing, right? We're going to release the Epstein files. Like that was such a no-brainer to me. I thought, my goodness, that'll happen day one. And then we got into 2025, and that's where everything started to slowly unravel.
When did you get the sense that there was something deeper in terms of Trump's betrayal to the promises that he made that you just mentioned there? When did you get the sense that it wasn't 12-dimensional chess? It wasn't trust the plan. It wasn't,
Mhm.
hold on, there's some kind of secret mission happening and you just have to accept all of the betrayals. When did you know, like, no, that's not it? It's something actually worse than that in terms of the character of the president.
Well, in the first 4 years of Congress, 2021 to the end of 2024, I had very much learned how the system worked.
Right.
You got to remember, I was kicked off committees by Nancy
Yeah.
Pelosi in 2021. I spent 10 to 12-hour days sitting on the House floor watching how everything, I had to learn. I
Mm.
literally went and learned myself. And then we took over, and I got put on the oversight committee. So we were doing deep dive investigations into everything. I became chair of the Doge subcommittee. Then
Mhm.
I could lead my own investigations. And I served on Homeland Security Committee, so I knew all things is in regards to Homeland. Now, when did I see it start to unravel? So I knew there was no secret society running things and making everything magically happen, and the white hats and the black hats and all this stuff. It was it was so the first quarter, I'll say the first quarter of 2025 was really good. There
Mhm.
was there was progress. There was a lot of movement. Republicans in Congress had a new attitude. They were emboldened. They were courageous. We actually believed that we could accomplish a lot, even though we had a very slim majority.
Right.
But it was in the second quarter of 2025 when I started seeing the momentum slow down. I started seeing a lot of resistance back in the same Republicans in Congress to fighting what they would vote for, even though they had campaigned so loudly. And then I started to see Republicans that hated Trump. I'm talking about passionately, vocally hated Donald Trump back in early 2024. They all of a sudden put on a MAGA hat once he won the primary. And then all of a sudden, the second quarter of 2025, they're going to the White House like every week. All of
Hmm.
a sudden, they're the ones that are being brought in the room. And then people like me, who was one of the leaders on the front lines of the
Right.
MAGA movement, the campaign, we're being slowly pushed out. And I was like, okay, this is not right.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing like Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham. I mean, they're like rotating. It's like a rotating door in the White House. And
Hmm.
then it was foreign leader after foreign leader rotating doors in the White House. Laura Loomer, all of a two-time congressional candidate loser, could not
Hmm.
even. She ran for Congress twice, couldn't even win. Totally unelectable,
Right.
totally untrustworthy, rejected by the people, rejected by MAGA. She starts getting in she's talking to Trump all the time, and he's listening to her. And it was like, what is happening?
That, yeah,
But,
that's one of
but
the
it,
craziest. That's the Laura Loomer Donald Trump relationship is one of the most effed up relationships.
well, people
I,
have to understand it. He loves cult like worship. And
right.
she has made Donald Trump her God.
Hmm.
Literally, he's the one and only in the entire universe is
Crazy.
Donald Trump. She doesn't even acknowledge God.
Mm.
She clearly doesn't believe in God.
Mm.
um, unless she's saying that God hates Candace Owens, which is absolutely absurd.
Mm.
But back to when did I see it change? So
Yeah.
there was I had three strikes with him.
Okay.
Three strikes. The first one came in June of 2025 when he bombed Iran the first time.
Hmm.
I I spoke out vocally on that. I was like Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson. I was out there the one of the very few saying, I think I was the only one Republican. I'm probably, maybe me and Thomas Massey were it, saying this is wrong. We should not be doing this. This is not what we promised. No more foreign wars. No, no, absolutely not. So then the second strike was on the Genius Act, and a lot of
Yeah.
people have not paid enough attention to this bill. The Genius Act was the whole crypto bill. There was Genius and there was Clarity. These are the two bills that were the entire crypto system totally getting basically federally approved,
Yeah.
regulated, and made into law. Well, I had a big problem with the Genius Act. As a matter of fact, there was a core group of us conservatives that had a problem with it because, in the language of the bill, it basically very vaguely had a back door open to a central bank digital currency, which
Yeah.
I'm 1000% against. Most Americans don't want a central bank digital currency.
Right.
We want control of our money. You should want control of your money. And it's very Orwellian. It's so 1984 to think that our government could flip a switch and turn off our ability to buy and sell.
Hmm.
So I got called to the principal's office on this one. First we had to go to Johnson's office. And then we had a bunch of late night meetings. They love late night meetings because they loved it for you to be tired and worn out, and they love to pressure you and talk your ear off until you give in.
Oh,
That
it's
never
crazy.
but it never worked for me. I was like,
Mm.
I don't give a fuck. I'll stay up all night long, whatever you
Right.
want to do.
Yeah.
I'm a no, just no. So when they couldn't move me there, there was a group of us, I think there were 10 or 11 of us and we got called to the principal's office. We had to go to the White House.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, hey, welcome in. Everybody's all chummy with me because I know every single one of them because I spent years with them campaigning all over the country. And then we got brought in, and they nicely put up all the chairs like right in front of the Resolute desk, right in front of it. And well, I had no problem sitting in a chair in front of the president. I know the president. I was friends with the president. I helped him get elected. So naturally, I plopped right down in a chair right in front of President Trump's desk.
Crazy.
And so everybody files in, and then the president comes in, and we do all the hellos and the niceties and yay and all this stuff. And then we proceed to get yelled at. And it was mostly me that got yelled at the entire time over the Genius Act. And you
What is
just
that
think,
like? I mean, tell me what it is like to be yelled at by President Trump sitting in a chair in front of the Resolute desk. Like, what did he say? Did he
I
berate
think
you?
I think anybody watching this needs to just understand what that moment is. You are sitting in the Oval Office, in the White House, in front of the Resolute desk in a little chair, in front of the President of the United States, and you're getting yelled at.
Hmm.
That's like, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy. But for me, it didn't matter because I was used to being berated. I was used to being abused. I was used to being yelled at in Washington, D.C. For me, that was nothing new. And
Hmm.
what for me in that moment is I can't believe this is happening. For
Yeah.
me, it was eye-opening. I was like,
Right.
number one, he's bombing, or so he went back on the no more. He's wanting to win the Nobel Peace Prize, by the way, at the time,
Bombing
and
by bombing
talking about,
Iran.
yeah,
Yeah.
bombing Iran. And then now we're talking about he just wanted to ram it through. He didn't care about the details. He told me, I don't care about your amendments. Didn't care about amendments because we were talking about amendments to fix it. He kept on talking to his staff, talking to a senator that was in the room, talking to other people about why can't they vote for this? Shouldn't they vote for this? Don't you all agree they should be voting for this? You need to vote for this. You need to,
Crazy. That
yes,
that's
absolute.
crazy. That I mean, first of all, you are a sitting congresswoman.
Mhm.
You answer to your constituents. You are
Yep.
independent. You don't answer to Donald Trump. He's not your principal. He's not your boss. He's not your dad. And so for them to line you up and berate you and yell at you and use these mind control psychological tactics to break you down is insane. It's
Yeah.
insane.
But it's not a they. This is what people need to get
It's
through their
him.
head. It's a him.
Mm,
It's not they, it's him. They just all run along and do whatever he commands them to do. That's where they are. Everybody
hmm.
thinks, oh, who is controlling him? People in MAGA can't believe that he does things. And they're like, who's making him? They're lying to him. Who's doing this? No, no,
It's
it's
him.
him. It is 100% him. So I left the White House that day, and I had been told by the man that I helped get elected that my amendments did not matter,
Hmm.
didn't matter. That as a matter of fact, my opinion didn't matter. My constituents who voted for me, who do not want a central bank digital currency, they don't matter.
Hmm.
He told me it's his bill. It was his bill, he called it, and that I have to vote for it. And guess what? When the I think I think I may have been the only Republican. Probably Massey was a no.
Yeah.
Everyone else caved. Everyone else that was in that room came around, and they of course voted for it because they're all scared
Hmm.
of the Truth Social post that might. And you got to remember, this was before he attacked me. So this was early. This was in 20 or summer of, it was either late spring or summer of 2025.
Right.
So then we started moving into the Epstein files, and everyone remembers that battle. That was the biggest battle on the planet, like the hardest thing to accomplish.
Yeah.
And he had his administration, the White House, telling the Speaker and Leader Thune, so Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune, stop this. Do not pass any resolution to
Hmm.
release the Epstein files. He told Pam Bondi at the DOJ, no matter what you think of Pam Bondi, he flat out told her, do not release the Epstein files. He was blocking everybody.
It was all him because there's a
Yes.
huge narrative out there that it's all Pam Bondi's fault,
Oh yeah, they
that
want to make
she's
it Pam Bondi.
undermining him. You're saying that, to your knowledge, he was driving this bus. Trump drove the bus to suppress the Epstein files, according to what you witnessed.
I know he did.
Yeah.
And I don't have any knowledge of him and Pam Bondi's personal conversations, but I know he was telling everyone not to release the files.
Hmm.
And his reasoning was is people are going to get hurt, is what he said. He kept saying that. People are going, he was publicly saying it's a Democrat hoax. It's a Democrat hoax, you know, blah blah. He was saying all this stuff and shaming people. But behind the scenes, he was telling all of us, he was telling Mike Johnson, he's telling everybody, telling Pam Bondi, people are going to get hurt. And who he was talking about, what he told me on the phone, our final conversation, when he had really had it with me because I wouldn't take my name off the discharge petition.
Good for
And
you.
I
Good
was
for you.
publicly saying over and over again, release the Epstein files. He told me, he said, my friends will get hurt. So he's talking about his friends. He told me, people you know, Marjorie, people at Mar-Lago, they're going to get hurt. And I said, people have already gotten hurt. There's over 1,000 women that
Hmm.
have been raped by Jeffrey Epstein and are accusing others. And they've told the FBI, they've told the police, they have been trying for years to get justice for this. I was
Right.
like, people already have been hurt. And I was trying to tell him, I see, in my mind, I still lived in this world of, well, surely we're going to find out what Bill Clinton did. And
Hmm.
Hillary Clinton went to the island too. What did she
Right.
do? You know,
Right.
I was in that whole world of it was only Democrat bad guys that were
Right.
guilty.
Right.
And even the obscene victims themselves had said, the ones that I had talked to, now others have said differently, but the ones was talking to said Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Their attorney told me and said publicly Donald Trump actually helped convict Jeffrey Epstein. So, and I was telling the president this. I was telling him
Right.
the women are supporting you. Some of them even voted for you, Mr. President. Their
Right.
attorney supports you. I said, please have them in the Oval Office
Hmm.
and support them. I said, you have everybody in the Oval Office,
Right.
everybody.
Right.
Why can't you have them in? But he flat out refused. And then you saw it, everybody
Yeah.
saw how it unfolded.
Well, it was horrifying. And I mean, the Trump slurs that have been leveled at you are unparalleled. Marjorie Trader Brown He talks about green grass turns brown when it rots, like a play, a horrifying play in your name. Marjorie, traitor Greene, wacky Marjorie. He called you a ranting lunatic, a dumb person, deranged. He referenced, I mean, just really horrifying, horrifying
Hmm.
things. I think that you have borne the brunt of his attack. I don't know that there's another woman, frankly, that has borne more vicious attacks from Donald Trump in my experience. And I've been reporting on and opining on politics in the capacity of my show for 12 years. So I was
Wow.
reporting on Trump when he came down the golden escalator from the very beginning. I've watched him very closely. I've never been a supporter of him. In fact, I was laughing this
Wow.
morning. I'm like, I have, if I, as I was researching you and all of your positions and all of your statements, I'm like, this girl, she's like a sister from another mister. I agree with her on everything,
Thank you.
everything except for the character, demeanor, and intentions of Donald Trump. Like that would be the only thing that I,
Mm,
I wouldn't have agreed with you on.
wow.
And you
So
had
you
this,
saw it early. Wow, you saw
I,
it early. That's incredible.
well, I saw it
Good for
early.
you. Good for you,
Well,
Shannon.
no, but Marjorie actually, before that, I mean, I started my show actually 13 years ago. So that was the first, when I started my show, is the first time I could actually observe politics.
Mm,
And it was my job. I could pay attention. I could look at candidates in the Republican Party, what they said versus what they actually did. As I
yep.
came in, I was a card carrying Republican, listened to Rush Limbaugh every day, never voted
Hmm.
for a Democrat in my life, was like, Republicans are the good guys, Democrats are the bad guys. So I was
Yep.
exactly the same as you, exactly
Yeah.
the same. And it took me about 2 years to get my footing, I think, into my
Hmm.
show, where I began to think, okay, there's something very wrong here. Now, with Donald Trump, I'm also a New Yorker. And
Mm,
so I know how corrupt New York politics are. I knew Donald Trump was a Democrat. And so it wasn't, after being acclimated for a couple of years, it wasn't hard for me to say, okay, so
right.
I really don't see myself as any, more advanced. I just had, everyone has their moment where they realize how corrupt everything is. But see, the majority of people, Marjorie, submit to the corruption. And
Hmm.
rather than standing up and speaking out, which you have now done, and which I did, and believe me, I've lost so many platforms in
Wow.
my whole career for not jumping on the Trump train. It's like every door was closed to me, but it was worth it. It was worth it now that I look back. But most people say, oh my gosh, this is too big. And they absolutely submit. They fall in line. And what Donald Trump did to you is what he did early on in his first presidency. And it's how he effectively shut down any principled opposition to what he
Yeah.
did from the very beginning. And that has been really damaging, really detrimental to conservatism, to liberty, to freedom, to truth in this
Hmm.
country, because so many have simply submitted because they're frightened of what he has done to you. And that's why
Yep.
you're so important. That's why I'm so honored to have you on today, because when you do something like this, something that's courageous, and Todd Massey is doing this, and there are a handful of other Republicans who are doing this, and we have to get behind them, by the way. But
Hmm.
in this stand that you're taking, you show other people, you know what? I can do it. And I'm
Hmm.
okay. And I'm going to
Right.
survive, and I'm not afraid. I love that. Your thoughts?
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Well, first off, so well said.
Mm.
And good for you. I mean, that took extraordinary bravery to step out there and be so boldly honest, especially when it was unpopular.
So
Um,
unpopular.
so unpopular.
So
I'm
unpopular.
sure everybody in MAGA was probably like, ah, Shannon Joy,
Oh
ah.
my gosh. Well, I got you. See, eventually you get used to it though. The trolls, I say they have JDS now, that's joy
Yeah.
derangement syndrome, because they
Right.
cannot stand it. They level the TDS at me all the time. And eventually what I tried to encourage everyone who wanted to like back down and submit,
Hmm.
like if you just press through it, what you
Yes.
realize is that they're not that dangerous. Most of them are bots and trolls anyway.
No.
They're not real, but
Okay, that is what I want to talk. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. First of all, this did not hurt me.
Mm.
The president calling me a traitor, which
Yeah.
think about the definition of traitor. What a horrible thing to call someone.
Yeah.
This is also something that is punishable by jail or
Mhm.
death. A traitor
Right.
is punishable by jail or death. That's what he called me. But he didn't mean a traitor to the country. He meant a traitor to him.
Hmm.
See, that's why he attacked me the worst, because I had been so loyal to him. I had fought for him and helped him when no one else was fighting and helping him.
Right.
But then the problem is he thought I was like Laura Loomer. That's the difference. He
Right.
expected me to be like her in a cult like worship way
Hmm.
and just rubber stamp everything he wanted to do in his presidency, even though it was complete betrayal of our campaign promises. And I wouldn't do it.
Hmm.
And then I became a traitor. And so, but here's what happened after he attacked me like this. Horrible death threats came in on me and my family, mostly my son. And I texted him a photo of the death threat and explained to him what was happening and that it was coming in because of his words.
Right.
And he replied to me in the harshest way possible. And I still have these text messages. I will never get rid of them.
Right.
And I've showed them to a few people. But he said he basically blamed me. So if my son were to get killed, it's your fault. He said it's your fault. And that's the man that people need to understand, that is who he is. He's the man that would blame me because I released the Epstein files. And so that if my son got killed because he was calling me a traitor, it was my fault. He's also the same man that is threatening to wipe out an entire civilization of people in Iran.
Right.
And he means these things. And this is for me. So when it in the public, it looked like it was a sudden turn for me. It was not a sudden turn for me. It had been happening all during 2025. I had fought him on attacking Iran,
Hmm.
staying core to my principles. I had fought him on the Genius Act, which to me is one of the most dangerous things that happened.
Right.
And that could put our entire country at peril later on because
Hmm.
they're going to switch to a digital currency.
They're
It's
going to
I don't know
try.
when. Yeah,
Yep.
they're going to try to do it, and they've already paved the way for it. So I was already fighting the Trump administration. I was already fighting Trump himself. Just the big public blow up happened after the Epstein
Right.
files, and it
What?
hasn't hurt me. So let's go forward on that, Shannon. Just
Yeah.
like it hasn't hurt you, your show has grown. You have focused everybody on action. Let's
Yeah.
focus on what these Republican candidates or affected elected officials do. What are they actually doing versus what they're saying?
Hmm.
That's the future of where every American needs to stand. And the future of that looks like this. It's being independent.
Yeah.
Do not live in the two political silos, because the political silos is what is destroying our country. So
Hmm.
what happened to me is the same thing that happened to you. It propelled me because
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for standing up to him
Right.
and
Right.
and fighting for women that were raped at 14 and 16 years
Yes.
old."
Yeah.
It's not political party issues. It's just the
Right.
right thing to do. And then I found out something amazing, Shannon. Most Americans are so sick of the bullshit. They
Hmm.
hate everything happening in Washington.
They do.
And it's the next 10 years are going to be incredibly important because the baby boomers are the ones that vote the most.
Hmm.
And the baby boomers is the generation that lives in the two silos, the Democrat
Right.
Party and the Republican Party. And that's parents' generation. And when they slowly, God love them, I don't want them, I don't want to lose them. But when
Right.
they slowly pass away, that's when it's going to happen over the next 10 years. That's when the whole system is going to fall apart. Thank God.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. What I love about what you've been saying in your messaging since you have emancipated from the Republican Party and from MAGA and Trump Inc. is the message of independence, breaking out of the two-party political paradigm,
Hmm.
breaking out of the uniparty, grassroots, bottom-up, organic resistance for whatever it is that Washington, D.C. tries to
Yes.
throw at us. You know, understanding that the answers are not in Washington, D.C., it is hopelessly corrupted
Hmm.
beyond repair.
Yep.
And, that understanding, first, that knowledge, it's incredibly emancipating, right? It's freeing. Like, you don't have to carry
Hmm.
water for
Right.
any of these decrepit politicians who lie and cheat and steal over and over and over. We can begin to activate from our own corner of the world, according to our own unique talents and abilities, for the cause of liberty and sanity and the Constitution and freedom and
Hmm.
free markets. And you're really walking the walk here. You're talking about, I love the discussions that you're having about a tax revolt. I love the
Hmm.
discussions that you're having about running independent candidates and organizing
Hmm.
from the bottom up. Like, it's exactly what you would want a whistleblower to do. You would want someone who is
Hmm.
earnest and hardworking to go into the belly of the beast, to witness what it is, understand what it is, and
Hmm.
then decide to come out, which is a very courageous thing to do, and inform everyone out here about just how corrupt it is,
Yeah.
so as to encourage them to begin to advocate in the ways that will actually move things. And I have said time and time again, the power of the market, like just the general market, regular people
Hmm.
deciding not to get a COVID shot, deciding
Yeah.
maybe not to participate in federal elections for a while because it's rigged,
Right. Hmm.
deciding to, create their own organic farms or set up their own supply lines in their
Hmm.
own communities, right? Like that power, that market is like a tsunami. It's a
Yes.
tsunami. Or else they wouldn't be so desperately trying to control us with
Right.
lies and propaganda. Like they need our consent. And so when enough people can activate the market, man, it's we wash them all out. And I'm just like waiting for that to happen. But do you think that's a
No,
possibility?
I think it's a huge possibility. And I think it's a huge possibility with the younger generations.
Hmm.
I'm Gen X, but I see great
Me too.
possibility. Oh, awesome. We're
Yeah.
the best. Um,
We're pretty
but
cool.
yeah, not gonna lie, we're pretty great. But I see the possibility with approximately half or a little more than half of our generation. I
Hmm.
see it in the millennials on
Hmm.
both sides of the political aisle. I see it in Gen Z big time. God bless them. I love Gen
Totally.
Z so
Yeah.
much. But I think, looking at the path forward, and that's how we have to look at this. What is the path forward?
Yeah.
The path forward is a path without Donald Trump.
That's
And
right.
thank God for that, because and it does look like embracing your independence, just as you described. Everybody embrace their independence. So what? It doesn't matter. The political pendulum swings back and forth, Democrat,
Yeah.
Republican. Does your life really change? No,
Mm-mm.
it doesn't. Honestly, there's a few little differences. You might get pissed off about a few issues here and there, but honestly, your day to day life does not change. However, here's the things that continue. You continue to fall further in debt in the federal government. The
Hmm.
value of the dollar continues to decline.
Right.
Inflation continues to rise, and we continue to get controlled more and more and more. It's like kudzu. It just keeps
Right.
creeping.
Yeah.
So the right thing to do is to let the entire political system burn down. And the
Mm.
only candidates, in my opinion, going forward to truly support are candidates that reject the big donor funding,
Yeah.
the big lobby, the big industry funding, the APAC funding that's critical and key there, and
Hmm.
refuse to be a part of the system. And then we can start supporting candidates that will run, and we can organize behind them with massive small dollar donations. Small dollar donations are some of the most powerful donations there are. That's
Right.
what my campaign consisted of. Over
Okay.
95% of my donors were small dollar donors.
Okay.
I'm telling you, there's so much power there. It just hasn't been organized yet.
Hmm.
But when we do begin to organize it, which I'm pretty interested in going forward, we just have
Hmm.
to, it's going to depend on 2026.
Hmm.
I think that's how you take your country back. When the look at it like this, Shannon. When the Republican Party the MAGA, let's say MAGA, when
Okay.
MAGA has turned into the movement that's led by Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Lindsey Graham as her champion in the Senate,
Right.
Randy Fine and Mike Johnson, and these people that make you want to puke are their champions in the House.
Right.
And then their mouthpiece is Laura Loomer. And then they're only recruiting people like Alan Dershowitz. Is MAGA anything that we want to have anything to do with?
Absolutely
No,
not. Yeah.
no, it's
Absolutely
repulsive,
not. Right.
and it's controlled. And and then you've got the Democrat Party, and something that I think really needs to be talked about. The Democrat Party, look at them. They lost in 2024. They got smacked down and like a WWE smackdown. It was incredible. But they didn't go into a room and go, "Hey guys, we lost really bad. We had our asses handed to us. We need to go back to the drawing board. We probably need to change some policy positions and come up with some new ideas, like ditch the Green New Deal. Maybe
Right.
open borders is not really a smart thing. Maybe the trannies are not who we need to promote." Like they could have gone in a room and figured that out, but they didn't, Shannon.
Mm-mm.
They just sat back and were like, "All right, we're going to stay quiet for a while." And then it's straight back to Trump derangement syndrome for them.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's like this is the two piles of shit on two platters that the American people, sorry for my language,
It's true.
have
No.
have to choose from. That is
Yeah.
what is on the ballot in 2026, and it's gross. It's
It's gross.
disgusting.
It is grotesque. And, don't worry, I reserve the right to cuss when appropriate. And I think the times are appropriate
Yeah. Sorry
for
about
harsh
that.
language. So, in fact, I make sure that I cuss in front of my kids every so often just so they know I'm serious and
Well,
I shock them. So
yeah, they got to prove you're human, right? A little few
exactly,
cuss words
exactly.
there.
We're if you guys want to support Marjorie Taylor Greene, make sure that you follow her on Twitter. It's former MTG. So what is your Twitter handle again? I think people are watching on your hand.
It's FMR Rep MTG.
There we go on
Yep.
on the Twitter, and we'll get to other areas and other ways that can support you as well when we come
Thank
back.
you.
We have about another half an hour on the program, and so I certainly want to pivot. By the way, before we go to commercial break, what you described, the behavior of Donald Trump, and this is just a side note, but the behavior of Donald Trump that you described, what you went through and dealt with in the last few months
Hmm.
of your position in DC, that it was abusive. I mean, he's an
Yeah,
abuser. He is
absolutely.
an abuser.
Yep.
And he uses the tactics and the techniques of a narcissistic, gaslighting, sociopathic abuser.
Yep.
And when I see the way that he treats people in comparison to the way that he treats people he knows in comparison to the way he treats the people of the United States of America, how he lies and gaslights and lies and gaslights, he has no respect for them, no respect for the truth. He uses
Mm.
them, abuses them, he steals from them with the insider trading and the pumping and the dumping blatantly. He doesn't even try to hide it. The
Mm.
grift that is blatant that he doesn't even try to hide. This is classic characteristics of an abuser. And I just hope that people realize that. I hope that
Yeah.
people who support him, people in Congress, Republicans, conservatives who have been supporting him because they're afraid and they don't want to experience the wrath of Trump the way that you have. I pray that people will begin to wake up. People who are still in MAGA, who are still hoping and
Hmm.
praying that he's somehow going to deliver on the promises that he has made to them. I hope they understand
Yeah.
that he's a predator
Yeah.
in every
He
sense of the word.
really is. After your commercial break, I'd love to talk about
Okay.
that a little more.
All right, let's do that when we come back. And yes, I would love to see some of your questions and comments on the live chat. Annie is going to keep an eye on YouTube, on Substack, on Facebook. If you have a question or a comment, please put it up in all caps so that we can see it. And I'm going to make note of a couple of your questions for Marjorie Taylor Greene. But when we come back, the abuse of power and Donald Trump with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Keep it tuned right here. Please head over to theshannonjoy.com, theshannonjoy.com. This is my independent platform. It is my website. I own it. And the email list that I have created with all of you, those of you who have signed up for the Shannon Joy daily email, it is so important. It's the most critical element in terms of my connection to all of you. Should I be deplatformed on YouTube or Twitter or Rumble or any of the platforms that we are pushed out on today, it is my one line to all of you. It's where I can contact you directly and let you know where to find the show. I will never forget the censorship of 2020. I was permanently suspended on Twitter. I was completely shadow banned on Facebook. I lost the entirety of both audiences in the span of 30 days. In the early days of the Shannon Joy Show, I was completely yanked off of a radio station because I continued to critique Donald Trump, and it was a right-wing radio station. Overnight, I lost my entire platform. thank God 10 years ago, or was 8 years ago, I had built up a presence on Twitter and Facebook and was able to continue the show until I moved it to another platform, a 50,000 watt radio station just down the road. But I am very familiar with being deplatformed and it happening very fast. That email list is everything. It is my pipeline to all of you. So if you haven't signed up for the SJ email list, please do so today. Go to theshannonjoy.com. That is theshannonjoy.com, and make sure that we're connected. Hey everyone, I am so proud to recommend Shift Gold to this audience as the gold standard for metals purchasing and investing. I couldn't ask for a better partner to help people understand gold and silver and use them as strategic instruments to protect their family's financial future. Peter Schiff's teaching on markets has shaped my understanding of how economies grow and why they collapse. And I've used them as a critical source for my daily broadcast for over 10 years. The Shannon Joy Show audience already knows and loves Peter because he has been such a treasured educator over the years. He is now the preeminent source for rock solid financial analysis around the world. And this is because he understands the immutable laws of natural markets and his stalwart unwillingness to veer from absolute truths, regardless of economic fads and political pressures. Bottom line, he doesn't sell out. And that means a lot to me. I trust Shift Gold, and you can too. Go to shiftgold.com/joy today to get started. You'll find some of the lowest spot prices for gold and silver and critical information on protecting your retirement savings with a gold or silver IRA. That's www.shiftgold.com/joy. Hedge against the chaos with our friends over at Shift Gold. At 123.com/joy. Everything that you're going to need for preparation: generators, solar panels, Faraday products. If you want to disappear and protect yourself from the surveillance state, they have an entire line of amazing Faraday products called dark bags. They're always 10% off at the satellite phone store if you go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. The satellite phone store has supported the Shannon Joy Show for many years. They are amazing partners, and let's help the companies that help keep the lights on here at the Shannon Joy Show. So if you are in the market for any of their products or services, make sure you use that promo code JOY and go to sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. Hey everyone, I just want to take a moment to thank one of my longtime friends, associates, my financial advisor, and a beloved sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show, Don Polano over at PCM and Associates. Don Polano, as many of you know, was the very first Shannon Joy Show advertiser almost 12 years ago, and he's been with us ever since. I trust Don Polano. He manages some of my assets and my retirement fund, and he's offering his services to all of you. He can take clients anywhere in the country and even across the globe over at PCM and Associates. And as you guys know, it is so important today. There's so much volatility and chaos. You need a human being, a person that you trust, and a person that shares your values. And that's Don Polano at PCM and Associates. So if you are looking for someone to help you manage your retirement or have investment advice, please consider calling Don Polano over at PCM and Associates. His number, 1-800-536-1368. That's 1-800-536-1368. And of course, you can go to pcmpolano.com. That is pcmpolano.com to learn about all of his services and get in contact with his team. Again, so thankful for Don Polano at PCM and Associates, and I think that you are really going to appreciate his services. So that number again, 1-800-536-1368 for a financial advisor that you can trust. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Huge thank you to all of our sponsors. When you see a commercial on the Shannon Joy Show, or I do a live read for one of our sponsors, please remember that every time you patronize the wellness company, Shift Gold, the satellite phone store, or PCM and Associates, you're helping to support and grow the Shannon Joy Show. And as you all know, we do this organically. We disclose to all of you every one of our sponsors, so there isn't ever any secret funding. We don't have billionaire backers. We're not supported by PACs or super PACs or Republican or Democrat parties. It is straight up, advertisers and sponsors, and they are amazing sponsors. I'm very, very discerning and picky when it comes to the sponsors that we bring on the Shannon Joy Show. They have great products, great services. And so, yes, please remember to support them. Back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who joins me today on the Shannon Joy Show. Just wanted to I wanted to give you a comment from the live chat on Rumble. I see you, Bill Benz. And Bill says this, Marjorie. Now, he's not defending coarse talk, okay? He doesn't defend saying, JC or GD, because that's swearing and taking the name of the Lord in vain. But the F word, S word, A word, C word, they're not swearing, he said. And often it's needed precisely for shock and emphasis. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Bill Benz supports the occasional use of
Thanks.
coarse language in order to add emphasis, and I agree as
Thanks.
well.
Thanks,
Marky
Bill.
Mark is
And
in New Jersey.
I'll put my coins in the swear jar for everybody else.
Absolutely. We have Brinks Boy 54 saying, Shannon, ask MTG her thoughts on how we fix all of this. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about solutions in just a moment. And I actually hope, Marjorie, that you'll join me on the show more often after this. I
would
think
love
there
to.
are a lot of really big topics. You mentioned the Genius Act and the Clarity Act, the tech bros, cryptocurrencies, what they're going to be doing with the economy in the next 10 years. There's a lot of geopolitical instability in the world with Iran and with Gaza. And what is happening in the Middle East. We have the debt and the deficit inflation to grapple with. So there's just a lot of things. And I mentioned to you in the break, I do see you as a prime witness. Like, you went in, you've witnessed the corruption, you've witnessed what Washington, D.C. really is and who Trump really is. And that makes you a very important truth teller in the next decade. So I think that your voice is going to be important. But I don't want to understate, I don't want to, sugarcoat or gloss over how corrupt and abusive it is in Washington, D.C., especially with Donald Trump at the helm. And in the last segment, we broke off with you wanting to kind of elaborate on Trump the abuser, the abusive president. And I wanted to see if you could expand on that, because I gave my thoughts on the matter, but you
Mhm.
actually experienced it. I'd like to give you that opportunity.
Yeah, I did want to say one thing. I do want to own something, and it's been some fair criticism of me. Is people have said, "Well, he's treated other people harshly, and he's bullied them and name called them, and why didn't you say anything before?"
Mm,
And I agree that's fair criticism of me.
mm,
And what I would like to say about that is, I was of the belief that Donald Trump was going to fight for the little people.
mhm.
And so, from my view back then, and I think it's this way for many people in MAGA, is we thought finally we've got basically a bully fighting for us,
Right.
for our interest. And that, was it ever right? No, I should have
Mm,
never ever thought it was okay for him to berate or name call or be so cruel to other people. So I do want to own that. However, we thought he was fighting for us, and it turns out
right.
he has become the biggest tool, the
Mhm.
biggest defender, and the biggest fighter for the very system that we thought he would tear down.
Right.
And
Right.
and so I just want to acknowledge that. And then Shannon, I also want to point out, he attacks women the most.
Yes, he
The
does.
look at the only people that left his administration, either. But
Right.
it is an interesting observation, right? He treated Elise Stefanik horribly,
Mm,
named her as ambassador of the UN, and then Johnson went in and stabbed her in the back and told the
mm.
president, "No, we need her vote. She can't leave Congress." And so he
Wow.
took away that ambassadorship. And then, it's there's a story there, but mine was the most prominent, and it
Mhm.
was probably the biggest attack on someone from his own team. Now, here's what people need. I guess the big takeaway there. The big takeaway is that no one is forcing the president to do this or act. He does this of his own free will. This is truly who he is.
Right.
And it's if you are not 100% completely loyal. And they say it, they put out these gross memes, trust Trump. And then they call people panicans. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like whipping you back into the cult. Get back in here and drink your Kool-Aid. And you better like it. And you better, when you leave these doors, you will defend him at all cost. And that's what they demand. And if you have even your own opinion or say otherwise, then you're kicked out of the cult. You're
Right.
declared the worst person. Look at how he's treated Tucker Carlson. My goodness, Alex Jones. I love both of those guys so much. Candace Owens, he talked horribly about her. Megyn Kelly, I love Megyn. Like, look at what he's doing. He is taking the best defenders he had, the loudest voices, and basically setting them to the side and just trying to tear them to pieces
Mm-hmm.
because he knows he's wrong. He knows
Yeah.
he's wrong. He
Yeah.
knows he's lying. And it's gross.
Marjorie, how dangerous do you think Donald Trump is? There's a lot of speculation that he is not in control, that he's a political actor, that he has been a political actor since the day he came down the golden escalator, that he has puppeteers, handlers, and he's acting on behalf of a larger shadow type organization that is really pulling the strings. How
Mhm.
extensive do you think that is, and how much of Donald Trump that we see is actually him in control, and how much of it is him playing a role or following orders? And the secondary question to that is, if so, who do you think is it that is behind him pushing these agendas?
It's both. So
Hmm.
he's very transactional, and you can look at his history and see
Yeah.
that. Art of the deal. Oh my, that's all about making deals. It's
Yep.
about coming up with a deal that's the best for you, but you know you're going to have to give a little to get there. So he's very transactional, and so what you're seeing is when he 2020 he or 2021 he was no longer president. So
Hmm.
he went into 4 years of basically exile where the entire system had completely kicked him out. They were done with him. Never again. You're never coming back. They totally denounced him, the entire
Hmm.
thing. So he spent 4 years fighting his way back in. The only way, the only legs he had to stand on was the American people that supported him and the
Mm.
message that he said. So he didn't get there on his own. He got there because of the American people. But what he had to do along the way is he made certain deals with a, I mean, it's a smaller group of people, but some very significant, powerful people, very rich people, and it's the donor class. And we can
Mm.
look at Miriam Adelson. She's the perfect example. She
Okay.
gave Trump hundreds of millions of dollars. It takes a lot of money to run a campaign. It
Right.
takes I mean, Kamala Harris had, what did she have? $1.5 billion and she
Wow.
lost. But she
Wow. Right.
lost because the Democrats screwed up so badly. But
Hmm.
look, that's a lot of money. He had over $1 billion. Well, Miriam Adelson gave him hundreds of millions of that sum of money. So she was a top donor. Then he
Hmm.
had other major donors. A whole grouping of crypto guys came in and said, we're going to support you. They weren't necessarily Donald Trump people. They weren't necessarily MAGA people, but they said, if you get through what we're wanting to do with crypto, then we're going to be all in. And they donated a lot of money to
That's
him.
right. PayPal Mafia boys like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and the likes, right?
The
I
tech,
remember
well,
that.
yes, yeah, tech
And-
and crypto. So they all came in, got behind them, and gave them their resources and used their platforms any way they could to help him get elected. That was extremely powerful. So you have to look, and I'm just giving a couple of examples, but we can put these people in groups. There were all these groups. He also, Big Pharma loves Donald Trump.
Yes, see,
Why?
good for you.
Because he loves the COVID vaccine. He loves all vaccines. The
Hmm.
man just got boosted at his last checkup. So
Of
You
course
have
they
to
did.
understand. Yeah, Big Pharma loves Donald Trump and he loves Big Pharma. He doesn't
Mhm.
hate Anthony Fauci. He loves Anthony Fauci. He loves Dr. Birx. He loves these people. He thinks
Mhm.
Operation Warp Speed was the greatest thing that he ever did.
Yes, he
He
does.
says it out loud. He says he saved millions of lives with the COVID vaccine.
Mhm.
So Big Pharma was easy for him. The military industrial complex loves Donald Trump. Why? Because he talks Congress into funding the biggest military budgets you've ever seen. And he wants $1.5 trillion on the next one. So,
Right.
of course, so he had all these groups. So I'm describing, sorry, I'm being long winded, but he
No,
had
no,
all
no.
these
Keep
groups.
going because you're naming all of the money pots. APAC,
Yes,
Tech Bros, Big Pharma, the military industrial complex, big
yes,
banksters, right? Like all
yes.
of the criminals who have always controlled presidents throughout history, all coalescing around Donald Trump. And he just sold out, just sold out.
He made the deal, art of the deal. That was
Yeah.
his art of the deal. So, for what did Trump do? He said, what did he want? What was the exchange? He wanted to be president again. That's
Hmm.
what his pride is enormous. He's the
Naming
biggest
rights, naming rights.
naming rights. Yeah, he wanted it all to be in the limelight. He wants
Yeah.
to stand in the center arena. He wants
Mhm.
it. He wants the golden statues. He wants his name everywhere. That's what he received. But what
Mhm.
he had to give away was, I'll give you what you want. And he's done it. And you literally, if you open your eyes and look at his actions, he's literally delivering for all the people that funded him the
Yes.
most. He's not delivering for you. You guys received an annoying amount of text messages that said, my father is disappointed in you. Why haven't we heard from you?
Abusive.
Demanding your money,
Yeah.
emails 20 a day, is crap in the mail. You got berated constantly to donate your $10, your $50, your $100. You might have even wrote $1,000 check. That's what you guys got. But the
Mm,
big donors, they got to go to the Mar-a-Lago parties and they still get to go. They get to go to the White House. They have lunches and dinners. For the love of God, look at the people that came in and had dinner with the president. They're the people that censored you and kicked you off of social media because you were saying, I'm not taking that vaccine. I'm not wearing a mask. No, I'm not doing that. Or you said, no, there was a stolen election. God forbid you care about your election integrity.
right.
These are the people that treated you the worst. And we're not giving Democrats any room. Look, they carried on with those people too, because
Hmm.
guess what? A Democrat president can't become president unless he makes the deals with practically the same people. You
Right.
guys have to understand, in order to become president of the United States, they are all giving it away. They're all giving it
Hmm.
away. And Donald Trump gave it away the most. And the most egregious part, Shannon, what he gave away the most wasn't just for American companies or American donors. What he gave away the most was for the secular government of Israel and their
Hmm.
military and their ambitions and their desires and who they want to bomb and who they want to kill and who they want to control. And
Hmm.
and Trump made that deal and said, I will do it for you.
Wow.
And that's what we're watching it play out in real time.
Yeah. And it's a great deal for him. Great deal for him.
Yeah.
Horrible deal for regular people.
Yep.
Horrible deal for people who love our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and our freedom and our liberty
Mhm.
and our right to pursue happiness and to
Mhm.
have privacy and to build a business, operate in a free market, the right to live in a sane world where we're not gaslit every day. I mean, it's
Mhm.
almost maddening. It almost drives you mad, the headlines today, and it makes you wonder if it's on purpose. It really is. We live in the most bizarre times.
Yep. It
It's
is. It's crazy.
absolutely bizarre. I want to pivot. Ziada says, has Marjorie Taylor Greene ever taken any money from APAC? I doubt
No.
it.
No,
I
you can look
doubt
that up. That's searchable. Please, somebody in the
Yeah,
chat, search that. No,
right.
I've taken zero money from APAC proudly.
Yeah.
And I'll add on, I introduced amendments in Congress to defund Israel. You can also search that. And I only had 5 other members of Congress vote with me to defund Israel. So
Mm.
what I want you all to understand, like some people got mad at me and said, "You resigned. Why did you quit on us?" Well,
Mm.
my lesson for you, the American people, part of why I resigned is because I needed you to learn something important.
Yeah.
Me being in Congress, voting no, fighting for you, staying up all night, fighting in these stupid meetings,
Right.
spending hours on the house floor, away from my family, away from my
Yeah.
home, away from my friends. Me doing all that stopped nothing.
Mm.
Stopped nothing. Nothing
Yeah.
changed.
Right.
And it my lesson for you was that you need to understand I believe in you more than I believed in my ability in Congress to accomplish anything. I believe in
That's
the
important.
power. It is important. The power, and it's I learned this lesson straight up firsthand because
Hmm.
nothing has been stopped. It's nothing. Thomas Massey,
Oh.
he'll stay in there, he'll keep fighting. Nothing will stop. It's
Hmm.
only you, the American people, when you have finally had it,
Right.
you're the ones that are going to stop it, not
Yeah.
me. Not
Right.
me. And that was a big lesson I hoped people learned.
No, that's a huge lesson. And, I'm an everything but the kitchen sink kind of gal, right?
Hmm.
Refusal to comply. If you want to get engaged with a tax revolt and organize to do that, if you want to run for local office or organize locally, organize at the state level,
Right.
state elections. I mean, there's so much legislation right now happening in conservative states regarding making gold and silver legal tender and establishing state sovereign banks and setting up
Hmm.
blocks to the big fat data centers that are coming to a backyard near you. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much action. And I've always thought, Marjorie, that if only people paid less attention to what was happening in Washington, D.C., and more attention and devoted more of their time to just doing a little bit here and there on the local or state level, we would have a
Mhm.
different country. I mean, they would never get away with half the things that they're getting away with today because the people are awake and engaged and not divided and distracted and propagandized into a constant fear loop, which then compels them to vote a lesser of two evils for the past 100 years, which is why we
Yep.
have so much evil right now. But it sounds
Yes.
like what you went through and watched, it sounds like some crazy college hazing situation where they break you down, abuse you. It's like such
Mhm.
a bizarre place, DC.
It
Unbelievable.
is. No, it's
Yeah.
100% like that. That you're held captive. So think about it. Shannon, imagine if you got on an airplane every morning, Monday morning, early,
Right.
ridiculously early, and you had to fly to Washington, D.C.,
Okay.
and you stayed in like your little apartment or a hotel room all week long. You're away from your family, you're away from your husband, you're away from your family, you're away from your best friends. You're
Mm,
not at home in your house where you're most yourself. You're away from the world that makes you you. And
right.
you go to this foreign city that really is an international city. It doesn't feel like an American city, it feels like a foreign country. And
Mm,
you go there and you spend all week there and you experience pressure from the moment you wake up to the moment you close your eyes late at night to do things that you said you wouldn't do,
mm,
things you campaigned against.
yeah.
You want to vote for a bill because, well, maybe 80% of it's good, but yet it's got like four or five clauses in there that you're like, no, that totally sacrifices my principles. But
Right.
then you've got the leader of your conference, the speaker of the house breathing down your neck saying, you just got to vote for this. Look, I know, look, this, we're all just going to get past that part. And we're actually going to, Marjorie, we're going to fix that in the next bill. So I know it's an
Bullshit.
issue. Oh, straight up fucking lies.
That's
Okay. That's what they are,
yeah.
Bill, my buddy Bill. Um, no, they're straight up lies. And so that's what they do constantly. And then the minute you walk out of these meetings, you walk out into a hallway that is lined with the press. I'm talking, 50 or more of them with cameras and video cameras and cell phones recording you and microphones shoving in your face. And they're asking you every kind of question, nice questions, mean questions. What do you have to say for yourself? Gotcha questions. It's like
Mm,
every single second. And then just to beat you up some more,
right.
if you won't vote for it, you get to go to the principal's office,
Yeah.
or they're going to keep you up till 4 a.m. voting on the House floor. So by the time you get to the end of the week and you drag your suitcase through the airport, and then you have to deal with somebody that may politically hate you because they read some bullshit in the news about you,
Yeah.
yelling at you in the airport, or people taking pictures of you, and then other people saying, "Hi, I love you." And then you get on the plane and everyone looks over your shoulder and tries to read whatever you're texting on your phone. Maybe you're saying something to your kids or whatever. You finally get home, Shannon. That is every single week in Congress,
Mhm.
every single week. But every single week, guess what happens? The debt gets higher, the dollar gets watered down some more.
Mhm.
No one can afford health insurance. I'll scream that from the freaking
True.
rooftops.
It's true.
Insurance in general, all of it,
Yeah.
health insurance, home insurance, car insurance. And our kids' generations have like a hopeless future because they're like, how are we ever going to afford a one income family where the mom can stay home?
I know.
How are we ever going to fight to get that great job that has benefits like our grandparents have great pensions and can
Mhm.
retire? Like that is the world. That was the reality that I lived in for 5 years. And I can't explain to people, and I can't agree with you enough. Your
Yeah.
local level is really what affects your life.
Yeah.
That's your trash service, your water service, the quality of your roads, the quality of your schools all day long where
Mhm.
your taxpayer dollars go.
That's right.
That's whether your little city council, yeah, those podunk people that you wouldn't go out to dinner with even if you wanted to,
Mhm.
that those county commissioners that you're kind of like, who are these weirdos?
Mhm.
Those people are the ones that are making very important decisions when you are never going to their city council meetings or their county commissioner meetings. You never ever go. None of us ever go, but yet they're the ones making the decision to put that data center that is going to be like one street away from your neighborhood and
Right.
will forever ruin the value of your home, and you'll hear the noise 24 hours a day and drive your animals insane. Like, and it'll
Mhm.
take away your water, and it'll suck up all your electricity and drive your energy bills.
Right.
So, yes, Shannon, yes, local,
Local, local.
and the federal government is entirely broken,
Yes.
entirely broken.
I agree. This is from DG8. MTG, will you campaign for people, this is interesting, who Trump is attacking, like Thomas Massey, and help them out? Also, people who are running for governor, this guy Poosh is running for governor of Ohio against Vivek Ramaswamy. Thanks for standing up. So they're wondering if you, by the way, in case you didn't know, you have a big audience. I am running for lieutenant governor of New York, by the way, and everyone's yelling at me on the live chat right now to tell you I'm joining Larry Sharp. He's on the independent line. He ran as a libertarian in New York State, and he asked me a couple weeks ago to join him on the ticket as lieutenant governor. So we're going to try to get on. We're doing like petitioning right now for the ballot just to get on the ballot as independent. But I think that state level is where things are at. And yeah, that was DJ8's question for you in terms of what you plan on doing in the future.
I'm already campaigning for Thomas Massey. I'm kind of sad that they didn't
Go.
know that. Oh,
Yeah, seriously.
Thomas Massey is one of my best friends. Like,
He's
was my
great.
best friend in Congress.
That's
Yes.
amazing. Amazing.
Yes. And if
Good.
Thomas Massey loses, then I'm just like, no one should ever vote for Republicans again. Like,
Ever.
that's where I'm at.
Ever.
Ever
I
again.
agree.
You should
Yeah.
burn the whole party to the ground if Thomas Massey loses his election, and
Yeah.
shame on everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, because that would be a travesty.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope he wins, but even if he wins, guess what? System's still broken,
It is. It is.
completely broken.
Yeah.
I don't know the other candidates. I will only campaign for people that I truly know and or have
Yeah.
really vetted and
Yeah.
trusted. But if
Yeah.
that person is trying to fight against the system and running for lieutenant governor, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm applaud you for stepping up.
Oh no, I'm talking about me. I'm running for
Shannon, you are? Oh, Shannon, you are.
I'm
Oh
a
my
crazy
gosh.
person.
That's incredible.
Well, it's a long shot, and I would never in a million years ever have chosen to do this. But I know Larry Sharp really well. He's been in New York State politics for forever,
Wow.
and I'm not really about the outcome. I'm more a process gal.
Hmm.
And if in the process of running with Larry as lieutenant governor, we can talk about medical freedom in New York, which is like my heart and soul, right? New York is one of the worst states in the world in terms of medical tyranny and forced
Mm.
vaccination on children.
Wow.
And I've been battling in New York for over a decade to write, medical freedom legislation. So if I feel like if we can use this process to try to get on the ballot
Hmm.
and then just try to encourage people to look outside of the Republicans and Democrats, right? Like trying to figure out a way to do
Yep.
this the right way with those small dollar donations that you talked about, get on the ballot on
Hmm.
the independent line and just like shake things up and have good conversations. I'm like, let's go for it. I have no problem.
That's
And so,
fantastic.
yeah,
Yes,
so
that's great.
I joined
And
him
medical
last
freedom.
week.
Oh, that is incredible. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that. I thought you were reading that person's comment. Sorry. That no, good for you. And
yeah.
medical freedom is I look, that's why one of the biggest reasons why Trump won. That,
Yep.
his political consultants don't want to acknowledge that.
Right.
But having RFK come on, it pushed him across the line. The Maha movement is bigger than
Everything.
any of them realize. They're
Mm-hmm.
so blinded to that. And I think the issues of vaccines with the risk of autism,
Yeah.
the risk of all types of vaccine injuries,
Right.
and just the whole unbelievable tyranny of forced vaccination
It's
is
awful.
good for you, Shannon.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
awful. Well, thank
That's
you.
great.
Thank you. We'll see if we can do it. This all might be over in 5 weeks because it's a
Yeah.
heavy lift. It's a heavy lift, but I think hopefully it's the start of something
Yes.
new. And I just like to try different things. I feel like, I like talking to the people. I like getting out there and just trying new things. So we'll see what happens
Yeah.
there. But yeah, medical freedom is for me living in a state where I had children who were injured by vaccines,
Mhm.
and then having the state force them or try to force them to be vaccinated again has been one of the most traumatic things that I've dealt with in my life as a
Wow.
mother. And so people don't understand. They just don't understand the torment of having to subject your child to something that could harm them. It's just terrible. So I don't want any parent to have to go through that. And we'll see what we can do to drum up some attention and interest here and on that platform. But
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
I also think that when you can't change your state on those issues, because your children are number one, they're the most
Hmm.
important.
Yeah.
And your ability to provide for your family.
Hmm.
And when they force rules and laws and regulations upon you that are damaging and harmful to your children, such as forced vaccinations,
Right.
or say a school system that is telling their students behind the parents' backs about lying about gender, trying to
Right.
talk them into changing their gender, those are the issues that I think many parents, as hard as it is to do, and I can imagine it's extremely different, you almost have to basically just divorce that state and
Hmm.
say, I have to leave and it's
Right.
for my children's safety.
Right. Right.
Hard as it is to do, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
Try like your entire body is fighting for it to try
Yes.
to change it because it's
Hmm.
worth it because you're affecting for everyone else.
Absolutely. And I think that's where you and I really share. I mean, I can really see in terms of you have 3 kids, I have 3 kids.
Hmm.
I got involved because of my kids 12 years ago. That
Yeah.
was the reason. And I know that I mean, for you, that breaking point when Trump just completely
Yeah.
disregarded and blamed you for, life
Death threats on my
threatening,
son.
yeah,
Death threats on my son.
against your son. I mean, I, anyone would have done well. No, anyone wouldn't have done the same thing. You did the right thing in courage, and I think that's what we need. People who are getting involved for the right reasons and then doing the
Hmm.
courageous things. And you're doing that, and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. And this has
Thank
been
you.
we've run out of time. I'm like so bummed. I could talk to you for a very long time. And I really do. I would love to have you on maybe quarterly or as a regular guest just to talk about what's going on and what your thoughts are, things that you're concerned about, and candidates that you want to get behind or don't want to get behind. I think, again, as I mentioned, your voice is going to be very important in the next decade. And I look forward to
Thank you.
collaborating, hopefully, with you more in the future.
Thank you, Shannon. I had so much fun.
Oh, I'm
I feel like
glad.
I just made a new good friend. So thank you.
Seriously, I was wondering if we were going to become friends after this because I'm like, I like her so much. Like, she's my kind of girl. But wow, yeah, you're a force to be reckoned with. Anything that you want to get off your chest before I let you go, or any place that you want to direct everyone to support you, to get in contact, or any initiatives that you think are important, I'd love to give you just the last minute or so to tell people what they can do to help you.
Mainly you can follow me at my accounts, former rep MTG, and I have another X account. It was my personal account that was originally banned for a whole year for fighting against COVID tyranny. And
Okay,
that's MT Greene, has two E's on the end, MT Greene with two E's on the end. So those
awesome.
are my two accounts. I'm on other platforms as well. But I
Okay.
think the biggest thing I need to tell all of you is it's really up to you guys.
Yeah.
Um, there's not going to be accountability. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Russiagate, COVID tyranny, all of the things that have been used to bait you, to anger you, to drive you to vote, to drive you to volunteer, to drive you to donate. Those issues have been red meat dangled in your face, and they're not really going to fix it or hold anyone
Mhm.
accountable. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry to deliver that message, but it's the reality. But you all can. You all can fix
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. And you know what? I mean, we can begin to activate just withdrawing our consent and becoming
Mhm.
emancipated. That's what they fear the most. And we can all do
That's
that.
right.
So
That's right.
you're leading the way. Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you so much for being with us today. And I look forward to connecting with you after and hopefully collaborating. I think that'd be super fun.
Mhm. Thanks, Shannon.
All right. You have a great day. And thank you to Annie Cyrus, who has been producing the SJ show. It looks like they throttled us on a couple of our feeds. Not surprising. That's okay. We're going to cut this up and we'll put clips out so they won't be able to stop us. It looks like X cut our feed at some point. Not okay. Not okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll give you some updates tomorrow on I as I was talking to Marjorie, guys, I'm like, wow, like this is, I mean, these are some bombshells. I mean, truth telling to the max today on the SJ show. I want to thank all of you for being with me today. Please remember our sponsors. Please remember to sign up for the SJ email blast. So go to theshannonjoy.com. It's the number way for me to be directly in contact with you so that you never miss a show. If I ever get deplatformed, I can find you and I can communicate with all of you. So theshannonjoy.com. Thank you for being with us today. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.